there's a revelation, an update that might shock most of you that you might have missed in the latest Newcastle United programme against Arsenal at the weekend there. Welcome back. It's Eddie here from Tyneside Life, and if you're unaware, I've been kind of fighting a battle with Newcastle United along with Paul Duanu, the club's official historian, in relation to the true story of Newcastle United's foundation year. And if you recall, I've done a couple of videos about this now, and about 4 months ago when Newcastle United released their updated brand new website, on their history page in the opening paragraph it mentioned that Newcastle East End and Newcastle West End put aside their differences to form Newcastle United. I immediately sent an email to Newcastle United reminding them that categorically that did not happen, and brought it to their attention that Paul Duanu, the club historian, has been writing about this in his literature, news articles and books for 2 or 3 decades now in relation to the true foundation story in that Newcastle United East End and West End did not merge. As a result of the contact I made with Newcastle United, they have taken down their history page from their brand new website, and it's been down for about 4.5 months or so now, clearly rewriting the history page of the club. And just to remind you very briefly, if you're unaware, I'll give you the 30-second version of the true foundation story of Newcastle United, is that in 1881 Stanley FC were founded. They then became Newcastle East End Football Club in the Biker area of Newcastle, and when Newcastle West End collapsed financially and folded in 1892, Newcastle East End moved into St James's Park, and a few months later Newcastle East End changed their name to Newcastle United, and that was primarily driven by trying to unite both sides, the population of both sides of the city, to support one club. In terms of the club foundation, 1892 is a very, very important year in our club's history. It's the year Newcastle East End moved into St James's Park. It's the same year Newcastle East End changed its name to Newcastle United. But it's not the beginning. That's probably chapter 3 in our club's history. Chapter 1 starts in 1881 as Newcastle United were formed as Stanley FC. Coincidentally, when I was at the match on Saturday against Arsenal, there was a family there, some young lads with buckets raising charity money for their club, and it was Newcastle East End FC. I've never seen that particular club before. They were formed in 1995. First time I've personally seen them at the ground. They may have been somewhere else when I've been coming to the match. And I had a chat with one of the owners there, and they've agreed to become involved with Tyneside Life to make a video about the current Newcastle East End Football Club. And I'm hoping Newcastle United Football Club will be getting involved as well to celebrate that rich history of our Newcastle United. In addition to all that, I've also been in touch with Paul Duanu very, very recently. He's been on at the club again, and he suggested that he, as the club official club historian, writes the text on the club history website page with the foundation story of our club, and he's still waiting to hear from them. Well, let's go back to the Newcastle United programme and the revelation that you might have missed, because if you go to page 34, Paul Duanu is a regular contributor. He writes articles for the matchday programme. Page 34, 35, his article, All Things Black and White, you will see he's included a new banner just there. Don't know if my finger's in the right place there. And it says, founded 1881, became United 1892. This is the first time now in an official capacity we have somewhere written that Newcastle United were formed in 1881. It's time for everybody, us fans, to get behind the true foundation story of Newcastle United, so it's not lost to the dusts through the passage of time. We can still celebrate 1892. It's still a massively important year for the club, but let's get behind 1881. It's in with programmes now. War flags, if you're watching, I think Paul's been in touch with you. Like, if you're watching, let's get some banners out there. Let's get some flags. Let's get 1881 out there. embrace it, and let's celebrate the true foundation story of our club. Well, I hope you found that interesting. If you did, give us a thumbs up, and I'll see you at the next match against West Ham.